What we're speaking about is that there's nothing else to find. And it can seem like this message is suggesting that there's a lot to lose. And it might feel like losing in the seeming losing. But there's nothing to lose either. This is all. No finding. The whole notion of finding is that there's something else to find. Other than what is already. And that there's something to lose somewhere else. Another time, another place, another this, a this that is that, somewhere else, where this will be different, where it could be different. Sorry, let me just turn my phone off. So you may still ask, so, well, why couldn't this be different? Well, simply because it's not. This is never different from how it is it? And I've got nothing to say about how it is, really. Whatever we say about how it is just another story. Or what it is. So what is this? This has nothing to say about what this is. And if there's questions about how this is, or what this is, or even why this is, as it is, then they're simply as it is. The questions. And if it seems like you've got answers, or there are answers, then that's how it is. One of the great illusions is that life would be better if I had the answers. The answers are the solution. There are problems, questions that need solving. And if only I had the answer, then everything would be okay. Or if not completely okay, at least better. And it might simply be obvious that all that answers do is create a new question. And that this life requires no answers, is not asking any questions. The questions are all for me, by me. And questions in themselves are not a problem. But of course, they are a problem for me because I desire, I require an answer. And of course, I want the right answer. I want a conclusion to know the truth. And it's pure arrogance to think that you could know the truth. And of course, it's pure hope that truth will bring you what you desire. Happiness, peace, love, joy, rest. Well, there's none of that in questions or answers. And this is not an answer or a question. But feel free to ask any questions. Or answer. Really, all I want to say is that it might not seem okay to never look to anyone else for an answer, for the for the truth. And by anyone, I mean yourself, of course, is included in that anyone. It may just be clear that there is no one who has ever had an answer. And wonderfully, none are required. It's the great myth that self tells itself, is that answers are the answer.
Michael has his hand up.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
When you refer to this and it, what are you referring to?
I have no idea.
Couldn't you say that there is no this and it also?
Yeah, of course. I do say that. But I don't know how else to speak. I don't know how else to speak about what we're speaking about. You know, I can say everything and nothing, but this seems, it's a bit more succinct. Doesn't mean anything. I mean, there is a problem with just any word that all words. Because of course, if I use a word, then it's objectified. It's an object. It's an it and a this and a something. You know. No, it's simply unknowable, and yet all that could possibly be known
is to say it's unknowable implies that there's an it.
Well, I'm going to say it's knowable as well then. Does that help? The thing about it, I mean, it really doesn't matter whether you say, I mean, there are plenty of speakers who say they know this, they know what they're speaking about. Well, it's very obvious here, I don't know what I'm speaking about.
Oh, there's no way out of this, is there? To say that there is an I that doesn't know what it's speaking about it implies that there's something knowable to speak about. Jesus.
Well, there isn't a way. There isn't a way. There isn't a way out.
No.
Or a way in.
No.
The problem with speaking about this, I always feel this, is that anyone who's listening must feel you can't help. Certainly if you're coming from a real sense of there must be someone there who's speaking that has already entered the kingdom of heaven. Okay, you know, if we, or they're in another place. They've entered a new space, a new place. Something special. And I mean, that couldn't be further from what wants to be spoken about. But whether that is heard, and you can never know how the words are received. And in a way, Mike, of course, it's better we don't speak about what we're speaking about, but there does seem to be a very powerful longing, joy, a love of speaking about what can't be spoken about. It is I mean,
I wonder if it's just life's longing for companionship. And I believe we're ultimately alone in our objectified world.
Yeah.
And this longing for companionship is the desire that even sages represent. It's lonely in a world that the mind, brain creates, whatever creates it or fabricates it. So perhaps Nisargadatta, Ramana, they were just reaching out like hands on a cave saying, here I am.
Well, I'm not so sure about Ramana. He seemed to like being on his own.
That's true.
I think it's just the nature. I mean, the nature of the character of the human being, and the nature of each human being is unique. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I would never dispute that. So wonderfully, the uniqueness of each human being is more obvious than ever.
Truly.
And of course, then the love is more obvious in the uniqueness of each human being.
Oh.
It's not their uniqueness, but the uniqueness is all the beauty and the love is in that.
Oh my, that's beautifully expressed, Tim. It's quite lovely.
Well, it is lovely. I mean, it is lovely. It's just that without seeing seeing human beings as selves, the wonderful uniqueness of each human being is much more obvious.
And we get glimpses of our own beauty, I think, in that, whatever it is, that exchange, that I think the most profound thing is that we can talk to each other at all through this common languaging that this iCloud of language. It's quite wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's a miracle, yeah.
Yes.
But I couldn't agree with you more about the aloneness, this complete aloneness, which is what I was always running from. I mean, it's very obvious now that really the whole, I was most terrified of this aloneness. And the wonder is that there is nothing to fear from it. There is only this aloneness. And again, it may sound paradoxical, but I have never felt lonely ever again. I mean that alone is worth that alone is worth speaking about. It makes this worth sharing, because I know how dreadful loneliness felt. The isolation of self was dreadful.
Mm. And the love of others is expands because of that. You see that aloneness in every human being.
Yeah, it's universal. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Michael.
Dario has his hand up.
Hi, Dario.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
You once spoke about the sadness that you felt when the me fell away, or the days before. There was a great sadness, a moaning, maybe. You expressed that once.
Now it's funny in the story. I find it hard to what happened when is really very difficult to remember. I would say that in the falling away, it was fear, it was dread, it was terror of falling into nothing, becoming nothing. There was intense fear. The sadness, I hate saying this in storytelling, but the sadness came after. The sadness is what we're speaking of. The sadness is that I can never know another. The sadness is I can never know myself. The sadness is the complete aloneness. It's a sadness that's all pervading, and it's really, sadness isn't the right word. There needs to be another word, but I haven't got the word for it. I could use Michael's word. Michael, I just see Michael here, and I know Michael uses the phrase something like this. He'll correct me. Something like sublime melancholy, which is that it's a sadness that doesn't come and go, because there is this alone. It is because it's the end of hope. It's, there isn't. You can no longer hope that you will know another. There's no others to know. It's the end of that you will find completion. There's no one to find completion. It's the end of the one who would be whole and at one with the whole. All of that dies. And of course, how would there not be grieving for all of that? How would there not be grief for that loss of possibility?
Yeah, there is here like always was a longing to find like a life partner.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that is something that will fall away with this, or is it something that might just still be there and there's still play out in a way? Or
there's absolutely no saying. I mean, there isn't a future where anything's going to play out, Dario.
Yeah.
In that sense, I mean, it's a nonsensical question. But of course, every me wants to know those sort of answers to those questions.
Yeah.
And if you want my opinion on whether it would stay the same or not, there's no knowing.
Mm.
It could well be that longing remains. The longing for companionship, for sharing, to be just being with other human beings is absolutely natural.
Yeah.
And I think there is quite a bit of myth in non-dual circles, in spiritual circles generally, that of course in the absence of me, because that was my longing, then that longing wouldn't remain. No, I think that is being human. We long to be with other humans. We long to share this life.
What you expressed before, this existential melancholy, is something that I observed like my whole life, in a sense, was always there, and there was always a sense like there's no sense in living because of this. This was kind of grasped in a way, but there was maybe not an acceptance of that in
well, no,
story terms, but
well, the thing is, it's self that says it's nihilistic and that it's there's no point to life.
Yeah.
Really, it is just how life is, and it's perfectly okay. I mean, life is alone.
Yeah.
There is life alone, and it's beautiful. That's it. It's nothing to fear. The problem with me is I think that I need completion, so I'm looking to the other, and like you, I looked for the one. I was searching for completion through relationships, the one who would complete me, which is the most common. I mean, you can do it through a spiritual path, but most selves' path towards their sense of, oh, then I'll be whole, is that I'll find a life partner who will be, my other half, because I'm only I'm incomplete, and they will make me whole, and then everything will be okay. I mean, it's virtually every love song, isn't it? It's nearly every pop song that's ever been written.
Yeah. That's also why I wondered, like, what is there to write about when there's only nothing?
Well, no, the thing is, there isn't only nothing. This is the most amazing news, Dario. Everything is nothing, but it's everything. It's not just nothing.
Yeah. Maybe that's my inclination, to always look at the nothing only.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I was just thinking about, there was a song by Atomic Kitten some years ago called "You Can Make Me Whole Again."
There we go.
Yeah. Anita has a hand up.
Hi, Anita.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
But everything is already whole.
But it's interesting that you were speaking about the loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was also a friend died the 10th, a very good friend. And sometimes I can feel the sadness as it is. I don't have to become closer and I don't have to go away from it. And sometimes there's a feeling that the whole body feels the sadness, that it stays, something like that. So that's what here is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and further, I don't have to say anything and I don't need answers.
No. It's the sadness is love, and it's
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Anita.
David has his hand up.
Right. Hi, Tim.
Hi, David.
Hello. Yeah, I mean, romantic relationships are bad enough when it comes to this yearning for completion and its impossibility. The worse is probably non-duality speakers in some ways, or teachers of any kind.
Yeah.
That we project. You know what I'm saying? I'm for some reason, I'm revisiting Yuji Krishnamurti just now. It's a very traumatic experience, but he's huge on that. And he uses it as a kind of teaching method in a way. I mean, he would never describe it as that, but he rubbishes everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, it's awful, the things he says about Christ and the Buddha and things. They're terrible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's what he's up to.
Yeah, you know. I think that was his game, yeah.
It was, yeah, you know, you're not Jesus. That's not going to happen to you. You're not Buddha. You're not whatever.
Yeah.
I just read a thing. I read a thing where, you know, there was a group meeting he was having, and this complete anarchy, you know. And this guy comes to the door, he's drunk. And he used to kind of drop in occasionally, and Krishnamurti just roars for some money. He never had cash on him, but he just took money from everyone around him. Money, give me money, give me money. And he rammed it into the guy's hand. He says, look, go and get pissed rather than sitting around listening to this shit. It's so disarming, you know. It's a very, very extreme example of what you were just saying, really. And he's trying to disabuse you of the idea that there's any hope in someone like him at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it, really. But, yeah.
Well, yeah, and I would like to disabuse you all of, you know, the hope that you would get it. I'm just not quite as brutal in my approach. But yeah.
Can I say something about Yuji?
Oh no, yes, hi Ellen, because you knew Yuji. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think he had any motive in anything he did. He wasn't trying to get anyone to see. He was just responding.
Mhm.
And he had a personality, and just like Tim, I was just thinking how nice you are. I was like, so nice. You can't help it. You're nice. I'm sorry. But it's like,
I know, I try not to be, Ellen, but you know, I can't help myself.
but there, you know, he usually had all kinds of sides to him. But yeah, there was that side to him that was very, I wouldn't say it was, I don't think he could be mean, yeah, but he was also very soft at times, you know,
Yeah.
really soft, and he was just himself. And I think that you are just yourself, what that is, you know, whatever that character is, the conditioning, the background. Yeah. And it comes across.
I wouldn't want you to think I'm nice all the time, though, because
No, of course, that's what I'm saying. He wasn't any one way all the time either. I'm sure you aren't, but you do listen in a way that's very unique. I'm always kind of amazed by it. So,
thank you.
yeah.
I'm not very good. I'm not so. I do come across incredibly tolerant here, I'm sure.
You do,
but with my friends, who I've been going to non-duality meetings with for, you know, the last 10, 15 years, if they come out with some shit, oh, do they get it? I mean, I'm not kind to that.
No.
I've got a couple of friends who just, you know, they'll say, oh, I've been listening to so-and-so, and I go, what the fuck are you listening to that shit for? Kind of thing. I mean, I'm not adverse to saying that. But I wouldn't say.
I want to. Yeah, I was just saying. You know, it's like everyone is different, unique, as you said in the beginning. We're so unique, and there's no litmus test that now that whatever happened or didn't happen, you're going to now be all wise and loving, whatever that.
Well, one of the most beautiful things about Yuji, and he is my favorite by miles, and just because of he was fearless. It just seemed that there was no agenda. He was not trying to be some spiritual guy, you know, and he was not afraid to say exactly what he thought. Right.
But this is it. It's like you're saying the same thing. And that's what amazed me, because I spent a lot of time with Yuji. So I was really stuck when he died, and, you know, and I heard Tony, and then, you know, Jim, and, you know, Andreas, and you know, but I found, well, they're saying the same thing Yuji said, relatively the same, but in this completely different way.
Yeah.
And at first I couldn't get that there were other people. I called you guys Tony clones.
Yeah.
Till I started to see how.
Thanks for that, Ellen.
Yeah, you're welcome. Each one was so unique, you know. I was stuck on that because of the experience of being with Yuji. And what you said, I think the last meeting you were saying, just fuck all of them, you know, and I was like, that's the best thing. But, you know, because ultimately that's it. It's all, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the message I think that Yuji put out a lot, was just, you're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
You are. I mean, there's a great paradox. So there's no one to be on their own, but you're on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that alone will put most people off ever listening to this, because that makes no sense. But there it is.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
And it's just made me think, you saying what, you know, you liked it, what Yuji would say, and what David said, something at the end of last week's meeting has stuck with me, which is fuck them all.
Yeah, fuck them all. Right.
Which I have to say, that's been in my head. That's now possibly possibly the title of my next book.
Yeah, and he said that. I mean, everything gets thrown out, and you can't, you know, that's it. And that's what I guess what David was saying about how all of them, you know, he would just stamp on all the things that are so sacred to us.
Yes.
But I don't think it was some intentional thing, like I'm going to show them how. It was just who he was and how he expressed himself. But it's true, like all the sacred cows, you know, everything just goes. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. I mean, it is a complete bereavement. I mean, everything you held sacred. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, everything, every place, every word you made.
That makes you sad, right? That could be the sadness of that, just the loss.
It is that. I think that is the sadness. Yeah, that it does all go, and it's not like you let it go. No, it's just taken. It's gone. It's no. That's why I can't abide all the paths of surrender and acceptance, and I can't abide any of that, because of course it's just more me holding on by being accepting or being surrendered, and it's not. It's taken. Yeah,
that's it. It's taken. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
I love it. I love it that you knew Yuji so well and you can speak.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I love it too. I love him. He gave me a lot. I mean, didn't give me anything. He said, for, you know, nothing to give, nothing to get. But I also love it. I just love him. Yeah.
Can I ask Heidi a question?
Mm-hmm.
Heidi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, David. What?
I just wondered, I mean, you don't need to go into any detail at all, but what I've been revisiting is not so much Eugene's, you know, the kind of classic texts. You know, that's absolutely fine, and, you know, I take them as they are. And they're quite brilliant, actually. It was this, Lewis Brawley's book. Do you know of that?
Yeah, Goner. Yeah, Lewis is a friend of mine, so I know he wrote that book, and lately a lot of people have brought that up.
Yeah, for me, it's. I don't know.
He was a unique character that came around. That is one thing different, is that he didn't have a place where he wouldn't meet people, and it was so informal. So we were able to just really hang out, like, and all kinds of wild things, you know, took place. It was very, you know, but I think he would have, I don't know how he would have felt about Zoom, but he really liked that all of a sudden he was on YouTube before he died, you know.
But I find that book in many ways, which I won't go into here, even more unsettling than some of Eugene's, the actual, you know, written dialogues. There's aspects to it which is, you know, we don't have time here. There's not a discussion on literature. But it's a very strange read. And just, but anyway, you've read it, obviously.
Yeah, I read it a long time ago, and I know Lewis. You know, I was there during the time that he was.
Sure. Well, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's nice to speak to you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll tell Lewis you said that.
Please do.
Okay.
Please do. I'd love to speak to him sometime. That probably won't happen, but give him my best regards.
I will. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Goner,
yeah. Because he took care of Yuji at a point when Yuji's body was failing. You know, he was towards death, and Lewis was this younger guy, very strong, you know, vital kind of character. And he's an artist, but he also turned out to be this great writer. And the book is very good, but he took care of him physically, stayed in the same room with him, slept there, helped to the bathroom, everything. And so, yeah, he wrote.
He tolerated so much abuse. It's extraordinary.
It's not really abuse, though. But I mean, I mean, maybe it felt that way to you. But
that's the difficult stage. Anyway, look, let's not go into it. It's worth a read, but there's a health warning comes with that.
Yeah, health warning. Right?
Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. And when Yuji died, he sent everyone away the day and then he stopped eating for 2 weeks, and he had 3 people there that kind of stayed with him, but he only took a little water when he needed it, and he didn't eat. And then his body just went. It took about 10 days. Yeah.
In chat, Heidi says that he said UG stands for useless guy. Is that right? Did he say
Yeah.
that?
Well, his name was Upaluri Gopala, but he used to say UG stands for useless guy.
Dario, go ahead, Dario.
I have a question, maybe you can share your perspective or not, but there's this idea of deconditioning all of the beliefs someone holds, but this has nothing to do with it, no? This shame.
No, nothing at all. I mean, if ever there was something for me to get my teeth into, that would be me trying to decondition myself of my beliefs. I mean, I mean, how arrogant is self that it could believe that it could decondition itself of its beliefs? What the fuck? I mean, it'd be the ultimate in control, wouldn't it? I mean, how much more control could self have that it was in control of its beliefs and in control of its conditioning? Good luck with that. That would be, I mean, what a task. Don't get me wrong. I mean, in therapy, there's quite a lot of therapy that involves some of that. If not necessarily deconditioning, just awareness, you know, bringing them to an understanding or a knowledge of, okay, yeah, I behave this way because of this belief. But it's just, they're just mind games for me to play to feel more secure in my sense of I'm in charge and controlling my life. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. But yeah, there's nothing to do with what we're speaking about. There's no one who has beliefs. There's no one who has conditioning.
And there's no one who can hear this.
And there's, sorry, say that again, Dario.
There's no one who can hear this. What you were saying.
Well, there's no one who hears anything, sorry. There's hearing or not, but
maybe that's why we're so ignorant.
well, the thing, this isn't about, this isn't about removal of ignorance. All of those, the ideas that, okay, what we're speaking about requires reconditioning or deconditioning. It requires the loss of beliefs. Beliefs are not a problem. The problem is they're my beliefs, and my life depends upon them, and they are, fundamental to me. They're not. Beliefs are just what they are, which are just, really, beliefs are just stories that say this is important and that's not. This is significant, that's not. This is right, that's wrong. This is better than that. What we're speaking of has nothing to do with belief at all.
I find ever less reasons why I should come here.
But that's the free. If it was a belief, then of course it would be, well, just another one of the millions. Don't get me wrong. Nearly everyone who hears this message will say, and I have it said to me regularly, well, you don't believe in that, do you? That's not what you believe. And I go, I don't know what I believe. It's not, what I'm speaking about has nothing to do with belief at all. And it doesn't, belief is, I will say, it's absolutely irrelevant. It's irrelevant, that's all. So a human being believes what it believes. That's it. And when you hear another human being's beliefs, there will be a response to that, a reaction to that. And neither the belief nor the reaction to it has any significance whatsoever. So you'll like some beliefs and you won't like others. Big deal. The trouble with beliefs is they make everything a big deal, don't they? Well, they do when they're mine, because of course everything that belongs to me is a big deal. That's the problem with my beliefs.
It's where the drama comes from.
Yeah. Well, you could say they come from beliefs, but they don't. They come from me. Mm. The drama all comes from me. If they're just beliefs, then, which they are, and they don't belong to anyone, well, they're not dramatic at all. They're just going, oh yeah. So there will be a response, something like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Oh yeah, that's interesting belief. Or, well, what a crock of shit. And it's not one is better, the one that says, oh, that's interesting, doesn't make that belief better than the one that the response is, what a crock of shit. Because the response has no more significance than the belief. And there is such a peace in that when beliefs are allowed to be what they are, which are completely insignificant, of no. The answer to everyone's beliefs is whatever. There you go. That's how it feels. But you have to be careful who you say it to, because of course people hold their beliefs so dear, so precious, so sacred, that they're willing to kill you for them. So most of the time, there might be the response, whatever, but it's best it doesn't come out of the mouth. just a smile and a nod of the head.
Yeah.
But there is, I mean, there is peace in, because what is most obvious is that each human being can do no other than believe what they believe. That's it. I mean, that's where all the peace lies. So there's nothing, beliefs need to be defended. When they're my beliefs, I have to defend them because my life depends upon it. That's what belief says. You know, they're fundamental to who I am. But when they're of no significance, there's non-duality, for example, which is apparently my belief now, you know, the system of belief which I live by, which couldn't get further from truth. But I get told that, and you would think if it's a belief, then it needs defending. Well, the wonder is that there is nothing, this has no requirement of defense at all. And that feels like love. The love of this is that there is nothing that needs to be defended, to be argued, to be supported, to be upheld. Nothing. And in that, there is no energy or motivation to argue against anyone else's belief, even though the thought may come, what a crock of shit. But you don't need to, I don't need to make the other person, there's no motivation to make someone else believe that their belief is a crock of shit at all.
Thanks.
Thanks, Aaron.
Got time for a few more questions, yeah?
Yeah.
I was just following a thread in chat earlier when you were talking about sadness and the sublime melancholy, and Ellis calls it sweet melancholy.
Yeah.
But Roberta said it's like the high lonesome in American music. I guess that's the sort of thing that they sing about in American music. But she says later, could you speak about the expression of the lonesome feeling as therapeutic? Is it therapeutic to express the high lonesome?
High lonesome.
I guess that's a genre of American music, is it, where they sing about, the...
Is that like, yeah.
Yes, that's right, Darren.
Okay.
Yes, it's sort of it's a style, and I came across that term thinking like, oh, how perfect. Just by that lonesome quality, I mean, it feels important for me to hear it and hear that it's okay and express it sometimes. I find, like bouncing off of Dario's question, I find that to be therapeutic. Thank you.
What self does is it makes sadness the enemy. Sadness means something's wrong. And one of the most wonderful revelations can be that sadness is not wrong. It's not an indication of anything being wrong. It's an indication of love. Whether it's sadness about the loss of another human being through death or the end of a relationship, or what we speak of here sometimes, which is the loss of self, which for self is the greatest loss of all, can feel like the greatest love. But there is an intense sadness with that. And the miracle is that it's perfectly okay. I mean, it's the wonder. It is the most wonderful good news. That life is okay, whether it feels okay or not. And one of the things that self really says that isn't okay is sadness, grief. Well, that is the most human. I think it's the most human of all, is this grief of loss. And this is loss. This is nothing to keep. Nothing to have and to hold. So the fantasies that, that would just be bliss, it's just pure fantasy. It's really okay that life's not okay. And I think that probably is the when self is in most conflict with what's happening, which is life, is I don't want this sadness. I don't want this loss. I don't want this sorrow. It's not okay. Well, that's okay. And it's okay that you say it's not okay. That's okay too. There's no exception to that.
Brendan has his hand up.
Brendan, lovely to see you.
Hi Tim, how are you? Bit late, Rosie. I'm just thinking that in the absence of a self, I imagine...
you can imagine what you like, Brendan.
I know that.
Won't make a fuck a difference, but you can imagine whatever you like.
That sadness is sweet.
Well, somebody just said sweet loneliness or sweet aloneness. Yeah, sweet. That doesn't... The thing is, that can be misleading. It can sound like, oh, it won't be that sad then. Oh, it's just a nice, gentle, sweet. No, be fucking like being ripped apart. But yeah, you could say.
I mean, they're sweet in terms of being ripped apart. Because without a self, how can you define it?
You can't, you know, this is all futile, but but I love your imagining of without the self. I mean, it's bullshit. I mean, it's just nonsense. There is no self, you know. So it's...
We're talking about here, we have been talking about grief as if there is a self, but without grief, without a self, we've got no fucking idea what it would feel like.
I think grief is pure love, isn't it? And then, you know, the loss of love.
That's sweet.
It can be, yeah, terribly though.
Terrible sweet.
Yeah, excruciatingly sweet. And
Excruciatingly.
You know, I don't want to sugar it up too much, candy coat it, because it can sound like, you know, the whole of this, like a lot of spirituality, just candy coats life. That's how I feel about it. You know, it's just trying to sweeten it all up. Oh, I'll be so much better without it, you know, and I won't have to feel the feelings that I don't want to feel. It's all unavoidable.
I'm not suggesting that. I was suggesting that the feeling would be actually very profound.
Yeah, you could say that, Brendan, yeah. Yeah, you could say it that way, yeah. But they are already, Brendan, you know, the whole before and after thing, they are, but in the resistance, which I am usually resistant to fully feeling, you know, I'll do all I can to distract and deflect and avoid really powerful emotions, because self feels that they could kill me. You know, if I start crying, then I'll never stop. And if I feel it all. And the wonderful news is there's no one, you know, there's no one to be destroyed by feelings. There's nothing, there is actually nothing. So you could say the profoundness is that there's no one stopping what may feel to self like an unstoppable tsunami, which will destroy me.
I'm just thinking that if you sit with a dying person who you love, it's a very profound experience.
It is, yeah. Yeah, sadness is hugely underrated.
Ooh.
Thanks, Brendan. No, it is though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Mm.
Same, you keep coming back to him, don't you?
Thanks, William.
He was there.
No doubt.
And beyond.
Yeah, he had to be. Well, has anybody else got anything else they'd like to say or ask? Johnny.
Hi.
Hi, Johnny.
Hiya. I just noticed there was 57 participants, and it reminded me of the Heinz, you know.
57 varieties.
Yeah, but it actually related to my question, aren't I spiritual? Anyway, what's the purpose, or what's the reason everybody comes to this with a different purpose? Why the heck are we all completely different? Or I can't get my head around it.
No. You won't get your head around that, Johnny.
Okay.
No. I mean, you could say well, imagine how boring it would be if we were all the same, John. I mean, it is the variety, yeah, the spice of life. Lovely cliche, but there we go. Doesn't it spice it up a bit?
You can have that one.
Yeah. The thing about this, I mean, this doesn't have any answers to those, any why questions or how questions, or even what questions. You know, there's no answers. This, I mean, that is how life is, Johnny, isn't it? Unique human beings. Why do you need to know why, Johnny?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sick of it. I got sick of people a long time ago. I get sick of myself.
Oh, yeah.
So why does it keep coming back?
Now, there's a good reason to come to these meetings, because if you're no longer sick of yourself, which is really what we're speaking about, you won't be sick of others. Don't get me wrong, you dislike plenty of them still, but you know, it'll be fine. And what most wonderful of all, without yourself, you won't have any problem with yourself. I mean, that sounds like bollocks, I know. But
I know where you're going with it. And I also need an individual self to be sick of others.
Of course you do. Yeah, without your own sickness of yourself. I mean, your sickness of others comes from that sickness, without a doubt.
Got it.
Cheers, Johnny.
Cheers, man. Good to see you.
Oh, no, nice to see you. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I really enjoyed that.
Thanks.
I enjoy it far too much for my own good. But there we go. Pleasure to see you all again. I'm hoping to do a live meeting in London, depending on how COVID goes over Christmas, but I'm going to do a meeting in London as early as I can in the new year. And I know for some of you that won't be possible to come to that, but I just think it'd be great to have at least for some of you to have a meetup. Would be great. So I'll let you know about that hopefully next week.
Good.
So thanks to Darren again.
Oh, you're welcome, Tim.
Thanks for your help.
Oh, and I just quickly say it's a free meeting, but if anyone wants to make a donation, you can go to Tim's website, timclissthis.com, right? Yeah.
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 Thanks, Darren.
Yeah.
Thanks, both.
Lovely to see you all again.
Hi.
Yeah.
Bye, Tim.
Take care.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Darren. Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
Darren.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.